87% of realtors quit within the first 2 years. 87% within 2 years. And you like, why? Because this job is amazing. So then you go into, okay, how do we train new agents? And then you realize the trainings offered by the brokerages are not for the sake of the agent, but they're a side business for the brokerages. They make money. I mean, the first trainings we had to go to, we had to pay what, $800, I think it was. That 87% into, it's just, to my mind, mind-boggling, because it's a great job and very lucrative in the end. A lot of them could be a good realtor if only they had the right tools at the right time.
Welcome back to the Better Agent Podcast. I'm your host, Josh Lavik, and I am here talking about how to improve your real estate business. That's what we always talk about. That's why it's called the Better Agent Podcast. I'm hoping that I can become a better agent, and hopefully our listeners listening to this can also become better agents and have better businesses, build better relationships, and really just have a better quality of life. Like, that's what I'm all about. And hopefully all my guests are about that as well. And there's lots of different ways that you can grow your business. There's lots of different ways that you can become a better agent. And that's what I love about this too, is, there's not just one way. And so, yeah, success does leave clues, and we can kind of pick those out from various people and their businesses. But there's lots of different ways to do it. So today I've got a wonderful guest, someone I've known for many, many years. Actually, we used to work at the same brokerage together years ago, and both kind of charted different paths in this real estate career path. But she's got a great story, and I'm excited to bring Iris Etheridge on the show and have her share a little bit more about her story in real estate and some of her wisdom and insight about building a better business. And one of the things that I love about Iris too is she's done what I don't think many of our other guests have really done. Actually, I don't think I've ever had a guest on that is a published author, which Iris is a published author. She wrote a book about really how to build better business. So perfect guest today. And without spilling too much of the info, I'll let Iris introduce herself and share a little more on her background, please.
Yeah, absolutely. So Josh, thank you for having me on your show. I think this is an amazing thing that you do for realtors in Madison, and also all of our listeners. Anyways, we met probably 14 years ago, and I just moved to the States from overseas. So English is not my first language. Please forgive every mistake I make. But that's what I said when I first started. And the people recruiting me, they're like, stop making excuses for yourself, or stop apologizing. And I'm like, what are you talking about? So coming to the States, I was totally green. I had no idea how to build a business. I had no idea about the American mentality. I had no idea about how people communicate. So I had a huge learning curve. And I know that those who were there 14 years ago, you included, are probably like, what is Iris still doing around in real estate? I just love that story. I think it just shows that anybody can do it. And that's also something I used to say, if I can do it, anybody can do it. And people will say, stop saying that. That puts you down. I'm like, that's how I feel. Anyways, but I'm just so thankful for real estate, for this profession. It's just helped me personally and helped my family to thrive in so many ways. I wouldn't have been able to do this in Europe or in Switzerland, where I grew up.
Yeah. So why more about that? I mean, I just actually had a wonderful opportunity to visit Switzerland, and I was so grateful for that opportunity because it was an incredible experience. We went there this spring with my family, and we had an amazing time. But it was, I don't know, say more about that. Like, what's so different about the States and that kind of that mindset of what you talked about, or how you were able to shift things, or what was different about it, I guess.
Mm-hmm. I know the Europeans bash America a lot, and I'm sorry about that. First of all, there's a side that they don't see, is the freedom that we have here, we don't have in Europe. There's this feeling of you can do anything in this country. And I believe it's true. I mean, in Switzerland, I grew up, I got good qualities from Switzerland. And that's hard work, that's precision, that's being kind. So many good qualities from Switzerland, but building a business from where I came from and my background, it's almost impossible in Switzerland. we're rule followers. We stay in our own sphere. We make ourselves small. Whereas here in America, it's like, here I am. Ta-da! And you're like, what? So for me,
Yeah.
and so I'm super thankful for the United States of America. I'm thankful for this country that's taught me a lot. Yeah.
Yeah. No, I love that. I mean, I think real estate is one of those businesses too, right? It's very entrepreneurial. It can be really big, right? Like you're only gonna have success and sales because of what you do and what you put into it. And like, you can't really achieve anything. Like there's lots of ways to be successful, which I even talked about at the beginning of this, right? And I think that's one of the things I think that's interesting about it, right? That, there's not just one set formula, like it has to be a certain way. I kind of like, if you ask any of my other teammates, they'll probably tell you that I got too many different ideas and I got to calm my brain, right? I tend to jump from different ideas, right? It's almost, I've taken that mindset sometimes too much, right? Where it's, oh, I can do anything. Well, no, wait, I should stop and just focus a little bit more. But which I think it takes a certain amount of tenacity though to keep going after it, right? And a certain amount of courage to what you said, right? I mean, you moved here from overseas. English wasn't your primary language, and like here you are, and you're succeeding after 14 years in the business. Okay, so I think that says a lot about you and your tenacity, and because I don't know if you know this, but like, the success rate is not super high in this business, right? A lot of people get into it and they think they can do it, and then they give up or they quit or they stop doing it or they're not successful or they have challenges. I mean, what about for you? I mean, I know you said, it was a big mindset shift, but what about you? What got you maybe over that hump of in the beginning of your career, and like maybe you were having some challenges along the way? What kept you going to say, no, I can do this and I'm gonna do this and this is what's gonna happen? Like, what was it for you that you think was a turning point, at least early on?
I think you mentioned those two words, and that would define what helped me is tenacity and courage. And that I got from Switzerland. So my dad would take us hiking in the mountains every weekend. And when I say hiking, it's not a 20-minute walk on a boardwalk. It's all day long, 8 hours hiking up and down mountains. And I mean, we're little girls. My sister is Pearl and Iris. And my dad would say, come on, girls, come on, just keep going. Let's go to the next corner. And we are tired, we're thirsty, we're hungry, but he would make us push through. And our legs would hurt. It was just like, it sounds gruesome, but the view at the top was amazing. And I never regretted pushing through. So now looking back, I realized that those formative years of hiking the mountains in Switzerland and doing the hard thing and pushing through and not giving up and not quitting is what really translates to my real estate career, because you have ups and downs in real estate all the time. The market shifts, things change. There's never a same transaction. It's always different, but you just push through and you figure out. So tenacity is a big one, and courage to do the unknown is like, okay, I don't have the skills. I did not have the skills when I started. Is like, okay, how am I going to do this? So having a growth mindset, like always wanting to learn. And I remember at first that initial brokerage we joined, they had some training, but it wasn't enough for me. And I remember going on podcasts, just like what you're doing now. I remember reading books. I remember just being so hungry for, how do I talk to my clients? How do I build trust? How do I, it wasn't much about contracts. It was more about the relationship with my client. That's my focus, is like, how do I serve these people better? It wasn't really what's my paycheck at the end of the month. It was more my focus is on the people and building trust with them. And I didn't know anybody when I came to Madison. Obviously, it was like, I was like a what do you call those, a tropical fish in the middle of a pond, the ocean. It was just like, oh my goodness, it's so overwhelming. But yeah, my focus was, how can I serve these people? So
That's a great mantra almost, right? How can I serve these people? I mean,
right.
if you just woke up every single day and just said that to yourself before you even go into the office, how can I serve these people today? and you go to make your first phone call to reach out to people or follow up with people. And before you even get on the phone to make that call, how can I serve these people today? I mean, it's like, it's such a great mantra and it's so simple, right? And it's just having that servant's heart and mindset. And I've done something similar for years. And I think it's great to just kind of start out with that, right? Like if you can come to work with that being your mindset and what you're going to do, I mean, how much more successful are you going to be? I mean, I already know it works because I've done it myself. So I think that's awesome. So that's very cool. Yeah, it's interesting. I think, right? You learn some of those things. You're a little kid hiking 8 hours in the mountains. I mean, I'm a big hiker. I got pictures of mountains all over the place because I love mountains too. And so I love hiking as well. And I think I love, just getting, there's something to be said, right? When you get to the top of that mountain and you look out and you see the view and it's just incredible. I mean, man, what an accomplishment, what an achievement. And so I think, a real estate business can be similar, right? Like some days it's hard and some days you trip and some days you don't want to get up and you want to just turn back down and go home. But if you keep going and you keep going that next mile, then eventually you kind of look up after a year or 2 or 14 years and you look back and you say, holy cow, look what I've done.
That's true.
And I think taking that time to just like, sometimes it's so easy to get focused on the next thing, the next achievement, the next deal, the next thing. Sometimes really just taking time to pause and just look back, like even 6 months, a year, 2 years, 5 years, whatever it is, sometimes looking back can really help give you perspective and make you appreciate that. Yeah, I know I had a similar experience too of tenacity. I remember, so I don't know if a lot of people know about me, but I used to be a wrestler all through high school and actually wrestled 3 years in college. And that was kind of my main sport, right? And I think sports can be a good analogy for business in a lot of ways, but wrestling for sure was required tremendous amounts of tenacity. And I remember there was many times at practices that I would have in high school where I'd be totally exhausted, dripping sweat. Everybody's exhausted, right? And then I feel like I need a break or I want a break or something like that. And then I remember forcing myself almost to smile in that moment and just pause, smile after like an hour into practice and I'm dripping sweat and just say, yeah, this is it. This is when champions are made. This is when I'm going to win the match. This is when I'm going to get to that next level of, being more successful as a wrestler. And I think, sometimes I've taken sort of a similar mindset in my real estate business, right? Like I know that, right, it's easy to just come in and make a couple calls maybe, or a handful of calls, but I know that if I just do a little bit more or learn to kind of once you get into that momentum mindset, like how can you almost shift your smile or your mindset to say, yeah, this is where I'm gonna book that next appointment, or I'm gonna book that next client, or I'm gonna make this next thing happen. And then sometimes it's a little bit extra, and it's just finding joy in going kind of that extra mile. So anyway, that's my story. But yeah, I don't know. Anything come to mind for you as I'm kind of sharing that?
Well, I love that you picked up on serving people because I think that's the root of my leadership is serving others. And I remember when I moved here, I'm like, the brokerage was like, pick out a sphere. What is your sphere of influence? And pick out like a niche in your sphere. And I'm like, I don't know what my niche would be. So I tried the Russian speakers because I lived in Siberia for 20 years. So I thought, okay, well, maybe I can reach out to the Russians but that flopped. And then I'm like, okay, well, maybe I'll try the French speakers. Let's see or I try the university level because I taught at university in Russia. But everything flopped. And so it was like, I think it was within the second year, I thought, and I had been farming my neighborhood because I just had a baby too. So I was like, I just had a baby and I'm like, where am I going to find my next clients? I don't want to go too far. So I started going door to door in my neighborhood, found out most of them are seniors and found out they really like me. And I'm like, now what's the difference here? Why do these seniors like me and the other people, what I think normal people, normal range people my age, we don't connect. And it was like really a aha moment is like probably because my integrity and my kindness throws people off. And my leadership style is completely different than what people are used to, and they don't know what to do with me. But the seniors, having been through World War II, I take time, I listen, we chat. They don't have anybody to talk with. So I just serve them and I bring them meals. I mean, just whatever comes up. And I had so many transactions in that neighborhood. I'm just so thankful for each and every one of those clients who trusted me with their real estate sale. And it wasn't about the transaction, it was about the relationship. And I always say I had a closing last week, and they're crying at closing. I gave them a frame of their home that they'd been in for 34 years. And I'm like realizing I'm going to have withdrawal from these people again because you're so involved in their lives for 6 months, right? You
Sure.
love on them, you do the right thing, you counsel them for high stake transaction, and then closing happens, and then oh my goodness, am I gonna see them again? So I am. I keep relationships with my clients, but it's not as intense. So I have that withdrawal phase, and they're like, oh, this is really sad.
Yeah.
But then, yeah, you find more people who need your help and just moving
Yeah.
on. Yeah.
Well, I think something that stands out that is a takeaway for anyone is like you found, you tried a bunch of things and then you found a niche. You kind of fell into it. And then like that one thing you noticed how you connected with people, and then that led to so many transactions. You just said so many transactions. I did so many transactions in
Right.
this neighborhood that were of similar types of people or similar
Right.
mindset, or right, or similar way that you find a way to connect with your niche,
Right.
and then you just go deeper, and then that sort of snowball effect happens, right? It's like that. I mean, I was talking to one of my other team members today. She just closed with a client, did a great job. They were super happy. And then this week got a referral from them a week later.
Yep.
Okay. Like, what does that say about the power of relationships and the power of really diving deep and going and having that total servant's heart and mindset with whoever you are in front of, right? It's not
Right.
always about making the next call or making the next contact or doing as much as you possibly can. It's about deepening that relationship with the person that you're dealing with. And I think if you do that, then the fruit just kind of shows up. So that's
Right.
awesome.
Yeah,
Very cool.
I agree with that. It is all about relationships, and it is about the trust you build. Another key, I think, to my success, which I noticed was strange for me, was new agents don't understand CRMs and automation. And you need to have systems in place. So that part of my Swiss background also was like, I have to get this CRM up and running, and I need automations. And so my very first year, I think I had one closing. I hired an assistant because I'm not detail oriented that much, and I know my weaknesses. So she was actually my first client. She had just retired and she needed side job, and she built my database. And she got all the addresses of that neighborhood, built the database, put it on, got their phone numbers, email addresses. She did all that hard work, and I still use it 14 years later. And I still am so thankful for that step I did. You know your weaknesses, you leverage, you find someone who's better than you to do that. And still using that CRM and the systems that she set up for me is amazing. It was a gift. It really was.
Yeah, no, for sure. It's such an integral part of this business, right? Is having just a database, right? I mean, there's that red book that I'm sure you probably read when you got started in this business, right? And there's the one thing that they talk about in that business is to build a database and then add to it and feed it every day. And I love that you recognize that about yourself. You're like, you know what? I'm really not good at building this and doing it. I know it needs to happen. I know
Right.
it's important. And if you aren't going to do it yourself, you need to find someone that can help you do it because it's that important. And if you can systematically add to that database, then suddenly your business will explode. Absolutely.
I
So,
mean, it's all automated too. I mean, we have so many good tools these days. We don't have to have it
yeah,
all on paper. It just
yeah,
is a gift. I mean, we got this tool, and when I was training the agents, new agents, I trained new agents for 2 years. That was one of the hardest things for them to understand is that your database is your business.
yeah.
What do you sell when you retire? You sell your database. So why aren't you looking after it every day? I mean, come on, people. So, but that was the hardest thing to convey to new agents. I don't know if it's a new generation or what, but them having a functioning database, not just names in a list or mailing address, but a functioning CRM that works for you every day is amazing.
Yeah, no, I think it's great. I think it's foundational is what I also think. I mean, I totally believe that and agree with you that, people need to think about the systems and their database like that is your business. And, it there's tons of great CRMs out there. Telling you which one to choose is not my role, and that's not really the topic of this podcast. Choose whatever one you want. But I think because there's so many of them have different tools and automations or things that you can do with them that I think make them powerful. But I think they don't even have to be that. I mean, I remember when I first started in this business, I had my email, my Outlook folder, and I would add a tag that said email newsletter, or I would add another tag or as, clients looking at a certain price range, or clients looking for a waterfront property or
Right.
whatever it was. And then suddenly I had, it's not very fun and exciting and sexy to enter names into this email thing or the database or the CRM, right? It's not fun. It's kind of
No.
boring.
Yeah.
Okay. But the value is when, boom, a property comes up that does fit your needs. How do you quickly identify who do I need to call? What do I need to send that, or email, call, text, whatever it is? How do you relate to them and communicate with them in a meaningful manner? And it's super foundational. So I couldn't agree more. But I think having that time, it can be as complicated as you want, but there's tons of tools out there for sure. But spending some time and getting that honed in is totally a worthwhile exercise. 100% agree for sure. So, gosh, what else? What about, so let's talk maybe long-term success, right? You've been doing this a long time. I've been doing this a long time. And, I know there's been roadblocks along the way, right? Like things you thought maybe were going to work out, even some of the niches that you thought were going to work out. What are maybe is there another experience that comes to mind that you said, gosh, I don't know if this is for me anymore. I don't know if I can do it. I know I've had several times where I'm like, oh my gosh, I've been, sometimes you have a couple of bad transactions that fall apart or certain things, and you're like, maybe I should just go get a different job. I don't know. What about you comes to mind maybe for some challenges along the way, and what did you do to maybe overcome that, or how did you get through that, or what did you end up doing?
Yeah, maybe 6 years in, I did had a really big roadblock. And I think it was related to COVID and all those changes in the market. And I really questioned whether I could survive in real estate as a realtor. I was also a single mom at that time. Everything, the buck stopped with me for me and my 3 kids. And 2 of them were going into college. So I'm like, am I making enough to fund their college or at least some of it? So I did take a part-time job at the university my oldest son went to because they would give a good grant. So it was actually not part-time, it was a full-time job. So I worked on the phones for them at the same time as doing real estate. And because it was COVID, I decided to go to college because MATC was there and they were offering free courses online. So I thought, okay, let's just do this. So I got a degree in international studies, which I find fascinating. But that year was really difficult. It ended up I had 3 full-time jobs basically. and
Yeah, you're going to
um,
school and you're still doing real estate and you're doing this
and
other job.
my other job.
Holy cow.
But at the end of the year, I realized real estate was enough, and real estate was what I like to do. I'm thankful for that experience where I'm like, "Ooh," I hesitated and I took that other job, but at the end of the day, I'm like, no, I need to make real estate work because that's who I am. So I guess the growth mindset is what would keep me going. Constantly reassessing where I'm at, learning from my mistakes. And mistakes are not something, like you don't beat yourself up, you learn from them. You just move on. You're like, okay, this little kid who tripped and fell, he's going to get up and move on. He's not going to stay down on the ground and do nothing. So yeah, you just get up, move on, reassess. What can I do now? And just constantly look at other people. Who can I serve today? I think that's the main thing, is staying present in my daily, like, who can I serve today? That's my thing. But long term is a purpose of, I do want to let people know that, again, if I can do it, anybody can do it. with the hardships I went through, anybody can overcome everything. And that really, that's why I wrote the book. I'm like, if only they have the basic tools. These are the basic tools. This is what's going to keep them going. This is, yeah, I've not seen a book like mine out there. That's why I wrote it. It's like, okay, these are the 4 things you really need to make it happen. If you do these things, it will happen for you. It's just like A plus B.
Yeah,
You
right.
just do it.
Sometimes it's just a matter of finding what are those foundational tools. And I
Yeah.
know, there's different trainings and available at different companies, and but from what you said is you didn't quite feel like you got enough of what you needed to get those foundational basic tools. I put together a similar kind of tool. I haven't published it on Amazon or anything, or it's not a published book, but I've built and sort of developed a 21-day sort of onboarding training challenge, which
Right.
probably has some similarities to it. Actually, I think it's a lot of it is some of these systems and CRM. A lot of it is mindset, and then how do we deal with buyers? How do we deal with sellers? How do you show up on that? Right. I think some of
Right.
those are the foundational tools that probably exist. But what else? Yeah, I don't know. What do you think is? I don't know, maybe tease our listeners a little bit. You don't have to share the entire book, but maybe a chapter or two or theme or something. What's in this book that's different than others, or what do you pull out of it, or hope that some people really resonate with in the book?
Well, I don't know if you can see it.
Okay.
It's so it's a picture of a mountain. Yeah. My son took this mountain last summer when we hiked in Switzerland. He's 7 and he took that picture. It's just a picture of what I shared earlier, the hike and how to not give up and not give in. I think as realtors, there's a very bad rap about us and for a good reason. What I want with my training is to train people of integrity and having a victorious mindset, an overcoming mindset, and doing the right thing all the time, even when it's hard. Take responsibility for your mistakes is a big one too. We all mess up. It's like, hey, I'm sorry, I messed up here. But that you don't really hear a lot in this country. It's like, ooh, let's not say that we messed up. We don't want to be brought to court or something. And that for me was like, I think we can do better as realtors, be realtors of integrity, and yeah, have this overcoming mindset that's not going to give up and doing the right thing. Does that make sense?
Yeah. Well, I think it absolutely makes sense. I think it's integral. And I think that any agent that doesn't have integrity, it's just a matter of time before you get caught. And it's just a matter of time before it it's too easy for people to share information about lack of integrity. So integrity is really doing what you say you're going to do and doing and following through on your promises. And to me, it's almost table stakes, right? Like if you're even going to be in this business, you have to have integrity, and so I think it's essential for sure. But I don't know, what does that mean though? I guess. I mean, do you know? Is there something? Is there an example that comes to mind, like where you've noticed maybe a lack of integrity, or how you may suggest people handle that differently, or is there something that comes to mind? I don't want, and don't name names, please, but uh,
um,
uh, feel free to use John
yeah.
Smith or whatever generic
um,
name you want.
I think for me and my heart, like you said, there's a huge turnover. 87% of realtors quit within the first 2 years. That's what
Yeah,
I read from NAR. 87% within 2 years. And you like, why? Because this job is amazing. So then you go into, okay, how do we train new agents? And then you realize the trainings offered by the brokerages are not for the sake of the agent, but they're a side business for the brokerages. They make money. I mean, the first trainings we had to go to, we had to pay what, $800, I think it was,
yeah, yeah,
for some training. And I'm like, that is ridiculous. I don't even have a first closing yet. And they're like, well, if you don't have money in the game. And I'm like, no, you don't get it. Some people just don't have money, but they have the skill. We just need to train them. So my book is only $30. And the lack of integrity starts at the brokerage level, in my opinion. If the brokerage doesn't really care about training the agents fully at their own cost, is like, what are you doing? You're just recycling people, and all you want is those fees. And it starts at the level of the brokerages. And I would love to see the leadership in town here at the level of brokerages start caring about the people coming through their doors and wanting this dream of being a good realtor. And a lot of them could be a good realtor if only they had the right tools at the right time and delivered in the right way. So that 87% into is just, to my mind, mind-boggling. Is like,
Yeah.
what? Why? It doesn't make sense because it's a great job and
Yeah.
very lucrative in the end. So
Sure. Well, and I think you touched on that too, right? Like you even had that mindset that we talked about of you're working 3 jobs. You're like, oh, COVID just hit. Can I really do this? I mean, I remember times during COVID too of holy cow, you write 6 offers for people and you don't get an accepted offer. Like,
right.
when did that ever happen in my career? I don't know. It's like you waste so much time and it's like, geez, maybe I should do something else. I don't know. This is frustrating. But eventually you keep going and you find a way to win and earn the business from that client, and then they're grateful, I'm grateful, everybody's grateful. But like it takes tenacity, right, to keep going and keep wandering through. But it is enough, and there is enough opportunity. And I think sometimes well, I even touched on it, right? Like I get sometimes sidetracked by too many different ideas. And I think that's the thing that I need to remind myself too, right? Is that no, this just being a realtor is enough. That's enough of a career path to have a huge amount of success. So this can totally just work just that. And if you put enough effort and focus on it, then you absolutely can get there. So I love that.
Yeah. Do you
Yeah.
still have your truck?
My
You used
truck.
to have
Yeah.
a moving truck. I think
Yeah.
that is the greatest thing of what you did. And I remember watching and like, I wish I had enough money for a truck. But my first years were fun. But I thought that was great. The service you offered with your truck was awesome. And I'm glad you're
Yeah.
still
Yeah.
doing
Well, I appreciate that. Yeah, it was something I was on the fence about, years ago, and thought that we have a moving truck we let our clients use, and yeah, it's an investment, right? But I made that when I bought that truck in the first place. I said, what can I do to really fully invest and commit to this business? And I also did something similar. I mean, I had my car branded and wrapped and everything too. And like, you don't have to wrap your car and brand your car, but if you're 100% all in and fully committed to this business, you might want to wrap your car. Because the thing I
Love
noticed is
that.
like some of these other top agents I noticed in other markets in all across the country, guess what? They have branded trucks or cars or whatever. Like their marketing is off the charts. So I don't know. Are you going to commit to that? Do you want to commit to that or not? Or maybe you're going to go get another part-time job somewhere, or maybe you're going to, second guess yourself. So to me, doing the truck, doing the branded wrap on my car, doing those additional marketing pieces, it was a commitment that I was willing to do to reinforce to myself, I'm doing this at a high level, right? It's like that hour long into my wrestling practice. And it's like,
Right.
yep, I'm tired. I got a little bit of money in the bank. What do I just want to keep it for myself? Let's reinvest a little bit of it,
Yeah.
and smile
Right.
about it and give it back to my clients and kind of go that next level. So for me, it was kind of a no brainer to like, okay, well, this is what we got to do. This is what we got to do. And
Yeah.
so for me, that's what made sense to do. But, I think it for you or other agents out there, right? Maybe it's not a truck, maybe it's not a branded thing, but like, what can you do in your business that would show and demonstrate that you're committed to that
Right.
next level
Right.
and extra tenacious to kind of keep going. And I think whatever that is for you or anybody else listening, I think if you can find something and identify something that helps you raise that level of commitment, you'll earn that money back and then some.
Oh,
I
yeah, and
mean,
then some, right.
yeah.
I mean, you raise your commitment, but you also, that's what sets you apart from your competitors. I mean, it's
Mhm.
that blue ocean strategy. I don't know if you read that book, the
Yeah.
blue ocean strategy. What can set you apart? How are you different from all of the other realtors in town? And for you,
Sure.
that's you apart right from the start. And I'm like, oh my goodness, that is a genius idea. So whatever is for me, I remember an agent when I was first starting, they're like, hey, your name is very unusual. Iris. At the time, we only had one Iris in town. Now we have two. But so I started Homes by Iris, and people, the seniors, loved it. They love my name, and they'll never forget it because that's what set me apart was my name, Iris, which was a lot cheaper than buying a truck, obviously. But
it's identifying,
right,
something that you could commit to and brand yourself with.
right.
Like, I mean,
So
Iris is a
that's
unique
great.
name, but it's a great name.
Anyways.
Sorry, I
No,
didn't mean to cut you off.
no, you're fine. I love that truck. Anyways.
Yeah. Well, thank you. Well, I've enjoyed this dialogue we've had so far. Is there anything else on your mind that jumps out? I mean, we've talked about a lot of great things, right? Having the right mindset, having integrity, getting your basic tools in place, systems, your CRM, automation, spend some time on it. If you're hitting a roadblock, find a way to work around it, keep going, work on it, go to that next level. And if you needed to do a part-time job, great, but guess what? You can come back. And if you fully commit to this business, real estate is absolutely enough for you to have a lucrative, successful career. I totally agree with that. Having the tenacity, just like climbing the mountain, it's not a half an hour hike. This is an 8-hour hike. So get ready. Here we go. I mean, it's about the relationship. How can we deepen those relationships with our clients? How can you wake up every day and serve people better? How can you have that mindset to serve people better? I love that. So anything else that I missed that comes up for you that you think our listeners might want to hear about today?
I'll just plug in my book again, if that's okay.
Yeah. Plug in the book,
Seriously,
and then what's the title of the book again?
it's called Real Growth. Real
Real
Growth.
Growth.
Anyways,
Okay.
it's blurry on the picture, but it really is a great tool for
Real
brokerages.
Growth. Okay. Real Growth for Real Estate Agents, Mindset and Skill Set Workbook, right?
Right.
Okay.
And it really is a workbook. It's not something you read through in one setting. You work through
Okay.
it. Very practical. So if anybody's starting out and are totally committed, like you said, 100% in there are tools out there to help you. And even if your brokerage isn't investing in you, I think it's $30 right now, is much better than $800 that we had to
Yeah.
pay when we first started. But yeah,
Yeah.
my heart is really for agents to succeed. And I want to see that 87% get lower. I want to see agents be agents of integrity more than self-serving, whatever we might have.
Yeah, for sure. No, I love that. Well, there you go, folks. If you're looking for some additional tool that's not an $800 training, but it's only $30, buy the workbook, check it out, connect with Iris. Feel free to reach out to me. I've got, like I said, our 21-day training. I don't have it in a published format, but I'm happy to share that with anyone if you're interested in listening to this, because it's about, I think, getting some of those foundational tools. And what else? Have a hunger and a thirst for knowledge and growth. Will encourage that growth mindset. Iris's book, any of the books behind me, there's lots of tools out there. There's webinars. Tune into this podcast, tune into the next podcast, because we're hoping to bring you value every single time we air an episode on how to be a better agent.
Thank you.
Yeah. Well, very cool. Well, Iris, I really appreciate you coming on the show today again. And that's our episode for today. You're listening to the Better Agent Podcast. Iris, any last words before we sign off?
That was it. You can do it. I love your sign in the back.
Oh, okay.
Very good.
Here we are, Better Agent Podcast. Tune in next
Excellent.
time, and we'll continue the dialogue on how to have a better business and improve things. I hope you enjoyed the show. Josh Lavik, Iris Etheridge. That's our show for today, and tune in next time. Thanks for tuning in to the Better Agent Podcast. I hope you found today's insights valuable. Don't forget to subscribe and leave a review if you enjoyed the show. Stay tuned for more tips, Q&A sessions, and sneak peeks into our 21-day challenge. To get full access of our show notes and more details on the 21-day challenge, go to abetterrealestateexperience.com. Keep striving for greatness, and I'll see you on the next episode.